Good morning. Welcome to another Kerfuffle webinar. Delighted to have with us the inimitable Jeremy Tapp of Homeflow. Jeremy, how are you? Where's your hat gone? You had your hat
Take
on.
it off. It makes special appearances for you, Simon. It doesn't. It's not like a permanent fixture on my head.
You're saying special, aren't you? I know how you work. Jeremy,
I'll wear it for you. I'll wear it for you specially.
You honestly, I'm not that much of a prima donna. I obviously am. First of all, how the devil are you? All right?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, there's no change really. We haven't gone back to the office outside of lockdown. We've been fully remote for 6 months, so no change. Busy.
Yeah. Do you think you will get back in the office at all, or is this a permanent shift?
We've held on to the offices. We've got several units in London, and we've got the offices in Brighton, and we've held on to them. But I think but not all of them. We've let some of the London units go because I don't think we're going to need all of them. Yeah, and we've made some hires. We've made our first remote hires. I'm a bit worried about how one maintains the culture of an organisation when it's remote first. Hey, hire, but I mean, plenty of organisations have been doing it for years, so. Must be possible, and we're feeling our way through that.
Oh, I'll give you some pointers. We've been ahead of the curve for ages, mainly because I was too tight to pay for offices. So, yeah, it's a bit of a challenge, isn't it? You know, the wonderful flexibility you get from being disparate, or however you want to put it, then tied up with how do you get that togetherness going? How do you get the sharing of ideas? Is something you've got to really work at, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, anyway, today's not about that. We're not talking about the new normal and all that pivoting nonsense and all the rest of it. Today is really just a congratulations. It's obviously you were nominated and indeed listed at EA Masters in the top 40. I think you got in the top 10. Was it for marketing? Was it marketing?
That's right. Yeah.
Cool. So as you obviously would be as a web company. But it wasn't just the websites you were being recognised for. Obviously, the idea was looking at ideas and innovations, and in particular, you had a particularly relevant innovation that's relevant to all agents. Do you want to just give a bit of background for what you were recognised for?
Sure. I think it was for our new crawler. Was the thing you were talking about, and what that does is it runs Google searches. Obviously, people go and run a Google search for a estate agent in Winchester or a estate agent in Reading or a estate agent in Leeds or whatever, and they look at how they're ranking. But that's flawed because really you need to be running that lots and lots. You need to be doing that industrially, searching all the time and searching across all the town and village names. So what we've built is a crawler that from a range of IP addresses, it pretends it's in Cambridge and it goes and runs a search in Cambridge. Then it pretends it's in Plymouth and it goes and runs a search in Plymouth. And it searches for things like estate agent in Plymouth, letting agent in Plymouth, sell my house in Plymouth, value my house. It's like I've got a range of head terms, and then it permutates them by 5,400 towns, postcodes all around the UK. And it does that each month, and it records the data, and it tells you who's got the most exposure in Google, both paid for exposure and also free exposure. So the SEO, your search engine optimization, and the PPC, your paid for, which is obviously increasingly agents are starting to divert quite big chunks of their budget to PPC, and it measures both the exposure of who's competing on those two fronts.
So that act of doing it as if it was locally is really, really important, because obviously you need to mimic what the public would be searching for in those catchment areas as well. Yeah, that's the critical element there, to throw up those results.
It is. I mean, the first version of the crawler about a year and a bit ago when we ran it all from one location. But the trouble is Google does a few things with the search results. First of all, it personalizes them to you. So you looking at your own site, you'll get a false sense of vanity because it will start to learn that you're always using your own website. So it puts your own website up top because it thinks, well, this guy likes this website. So it has, and you can get around that a bit by searching in incognito.
Yeah,
but just nobody searches industrially. Nobody searches for all the town names or all the village names and does it properly. And there are various tools out there that do that, but we've built the first for general market stuff. But we've built the first one for a estate agency. And the second part of that, searching from the town, we run two types of searches. We run geolocated searches and non-geolocated searches. So we might run estate agent near me, which is something, quite a volume on that term. People type estate agent near me. Well, that matters. If you do that in Plymouth, you get different results from if you do that in Cambridge. So we run those locally, but also the results for the located stuff. So even if you say, I'm looking to sell my house in Manchester, if you run that search from Manchester, you sometimes get different results from running that search if you're running it from Swindon. So you just got to make sure that you're running your searches where you would be running your searches, if you see what I mean. It's a bit technical, but the bottom line is we get 200,000 results and we start producing league tables. I can show you one if you like.
I'd love that. Yeah, that'd be great. And how are the agents themselves actually using it, Jeremy?
Well, they speak to us at the moment because it's not yet a product that you can log into yourself and use. Here it is. I'm just going to put it up on screen so you can see it. But it produces these league tables, which when I can load it, there you go. There's an example league table. If I just move to the right there, I don't know if you can see. It's obviously small, but you'll get the idea. And you can run these for any county. So we can go in, we can select any search term, we can select any location, we can look for specific companies or company types. So this is all companies. So you can see at the top here, you've got Rightmove, that big blue bar. And then you've got Purple Bricks, and notice that big red bar. But the difference is obviously Purple Bricks are buying all their traffic. Not all of it, but 95% of it there, the exposure is purchased traffic because they don't have the physical office location network. And then you go back through to portals like On the Market and Zoopla. But it's really interesting to look at when you change which search terms you look at. So if you start introducing valuation search terms like sell my house or value my house, suddenly Rightmove starts advertising. So Rightmove is incredibly canny. It doesn't need to buy any advertising for applicant-side traffic at all. It's just got that momentum, that flywheel. Yeah. But it does come out to play when you start getting into the really high-value stuff, because it knows that if it can generate those valuation inquiries, that's more value for its customers. And then as you come on down the mix, you see businesses that you'd expect to see, like Your Move and Foxtons and Connell's Group and Winkworth and Hart and what have you. You see the bigger agencies. And you can zoom in on a given county. And that's what we do when agents get, and it's free, by the way. This is, agents can get in touch with us. There's the sales pitch. So agents can get in touch with us, and we will run their town or their county for them. Obviously, we hope they end up working with us either on websites or buying PPC. But the intelligence, we're doing it as a sort of a free report.
I don't think that is a hard sell, actually, if it's free, is it? I don't think you can be accused of that, really.
No. Well, your innovation award, there was a 4-branch agency in London, came straight up to, you can tell the proactive agencies, they just come straight to you. They see a presentation, they write it down, and then they act on it. And those are the agencies that win, the agencies that grab the market and grab the opportunity.
So from our point, as obviously trained spotters as we are, that must be really interesting for me, like a macro level, being able to see those companies, as you said, like Purple Bricks. But there will be others, won't there, that have big aggressive campaigns to get market share and to be more prominent. And you can see them go for the, I would imagine, pop up on that right hand side there with more paid SEO. No.
This is no longer the provenance just of online agencies. If you wound the clock back 3 years ago, it was only really online agencies and and countrywide 3 or 4 years ago, we're doing a lot of this stuff. So it was either if you had a big online marketing department and therefore you were ahead of the curve and you were looking at other industries and doing this, or if you were progressive, really progressive, but you were the exception. Whereas now it's not. It's crossed into the mainstream. I would say that now we are absolutely mainstream about this. It's we see loads and loads of agencies doing it.
Fantastic. Let me just, there's obviously some of the more further details in terms of where you were there. So again, just let's have a look at that. So free intelligence on where your offices rank in every town and county around the UK. Competitor monitoring for PPC and SEO exposure. Said obviously that's incredibly useful there. But as well, quickly identify strong branches and those that need support with PPC. So that is how ultimately some of these agents will do it themselves as well. They will identify if they need to step up and start doing paid SEO themselves.
Yeah, well, that latter bit is actually quite important. So, I mean, if you're running PPC, there are several things you can do. So I was talking to an agency yesterday, 50 branches, big powerhouse central London agency, tens of thousands of pounds a month going through PPC. And when you're operating at that scale, you have to be much more nuanced. You have to sort of say, in our branch network, which of our branches has already got strong organic performance? And if we're at the top of Google in slot number 1, and yet we've got no pay, we don't need to do any paid for advertising there if we've got limited budget. If you've got lots of budget, I looked at a search result yesterday for Savills, and Savills were advertising on their own brand name. But what they're doing there is they're sort of pushing competitors out. So there's all sorts of tactics and strategies you can use. You can sort of defend your own brand name and push other people off the page and dominate the whole page, or you can go and support weak branches, or you can sometimes, we cross-tabulate that. We have a client in Wales who did this for, and they sort of tell us where they're going to be opening a branch next or which branches need more support, and we can direct a limited PPC budget. If you've got a finite budget, we can make sure that we push it to the right branches and the right parts of the network. Because it's kind of like, a lot of people have started doing PPC, and all they're doing is they put in a bunch of head keywords, obvious keywords, the big ones, and they switch on money and turn it on. And there's an awful lot of providers will do that kind of basic level PPC for you. And that's good, because if you don't go too hard at it, it's probably net return on investment. But to really spend more and to spend more intelligently, or if you're spending a lot, then you need to start being quite intelligent about how you do it. You need to trade it.
But you can get, you're on quite a sticky slope, aren't you? I mean, you can get caught up in an auction war, really, and getting those hot terms that people are obviously dominating if you're not careful. And really, the ROI doesn't start to stack up quite as prominently, does it?
Yeah, that's right. So there's a thing called the efficient frontier, which if you're a single branch estate agent in a regional part of, you're not in a sort of a dense urban area, you can't really spend more than £500 a month without it going beyond the efficient frontier, maybe £600 a month for a single branch. Right. And it makes it quite difficult to manage well, actually. Whereas if you're a 10 brancher, the management fee is a bit easier to sort of sit within the activity. But you're right that basically the dumb money comes in and it spends just on the obvious head term. So when you arrive as a kind of virgin on these shores, you sort of just buy the town name, you buy the main city name, you buy valuation, and you do what everyone would do, which is you have a first stab. But the trouble is, if there are sophisticated players, and you'd be fine. If you did that somewhere which wasn't developed, you'd be fine. But if you went and tried to do that in Camden or in Kensington, you'd be slaughtered, because the prices are already high. There's lots of competition in. They know what they're doing. They're all permutating and doing it in smaller gaps. And some of them have got some really quite sophisticated agencies helping them do that. And so you would be the mug who's in auctions. The person who wins the auction is often the loser. It's winner's curse in an auction. And it's an economic theory called winner's curse. And, because they paid more than the average other person would have paid, and the average other person defines the right price to get. I know you're an economist by background. You probably know about this. But you don't want to be the guy who gets winner's curse. You want to be the guy who's more savvy, who does a more sophisticated campaign underneath the radar of everybody else, picking up more cheap traffic on better converting traffic.
It is a bit of a dark art as well, isn't it? I mean, it comes from but it does just come from experience, doesn't it? And that's why reaching out to people like you is really absolutely vital, and it's a no-brainer as long as you get, because as I said, you can literally, what was Boris's phrase? You can spaff money against the wall basically very easily if you go at this and make those same mistakes that luckily other people have already made and can pass on the knowledge.
You can, but you say dark art. I mean, and I don't know how carefully you choose those words. I mean, a lot of people say dark art of SEO, and they sometimes refer to black hat SEO rather than white hat SEO. But SEO has a much harder linkage to work out. They're not telling you how it works. With PPC, I actually think it's a white art. I think it's completely open. I mean, you're going to log into the account. Yes, it's hard and it's complex and it's technical to do well, and you have to work it. But then so selling a house. It's only because you're a domain expertise in selling a house as an estate agent. I mean, you know all about it. If I went to try and be an estate agent and sell houses, I'd make all the rookie mistakes. I'd be a complete, I mean, I understand the process. I've worked alongside agents for 12 years, but do you know what I mean? It's really hard if you actually get into the nuance of what you need to do in what situation. And that's exactly the same as PPC, but it's completely transparent. I mean, you could do all this yourself. It's just, why would you? It's bloody hard work. And there are experts who've done it more.
So Jeremy, people just need to reach out to you or the team. Just obviously you can do it going direct to the website or go to Jeremy. Of course, you can get access via the Homeflow landing page. Click on "I'm interested," and we'll forward on all those queries as well to Jeremy. It seems to be an absolute no-brainer. You would get on there, because the important thing here, as much as anything, isn't it, is being able to see that kind of benchmarking. That's where it takes this, like your other benchmarking tool, it's got to be said, these two working hand in glove together are really important metrics, and measure it. You can't manage what you can't measure, they always tell us.
Thank you. I'm delighted. You've got your head completely around our benchmarking suite, which is lovely to hear. You're right that we've got two types of benchmarking. I should also be clear, there are two companies here, both same ownership, same building, same structure, same company, sister companies basically. One's Homeflow. That's who you're referring to us as. We build the websites for estate agents and help with their online marketing. And the other is Raw. Yeah, my little Raw t-shirt here. I'm doing my bit for branding. Or yours here. That's here. Good. Raw are the company that do the PPC, and they have the PPC benchmarking tools. So there are two benchmarking tools. One is your traffic benchmarking. We can compare how much traffic you've got relative to other agencies, how your bounce rate is relative to other agencies, how your speed is. That's like an essential base for how your website, which is the foundation of all your digital marketing is performing. And the other is your outreach benchmarking. That's the raw product. And that's the one we've been talking about today. That's the one that can tell you how you're ranking in Google. It can look at your competitors, tell you where they're outranking you. It's just a great bit of kit for looking at where, where you've got exposure, free SEO exposure and paid for PPC exposure.
Excellent. No brainer, isn't it? Give Jeremy a ring, sign up, get some access to there, get some expert advice. That's really cool. Jeremy, what else you got on? What are you doing in the business at the moment? Apart from releasing fantastic tool after fantastic tool.
We are doing some work on some of our tools at the moment. So we're busy building the new Connells Group websites, which is keeping us busy. That's obviously a big project for us.
Could be bigger. It could be bigger soon.
Could be bigger soon. Yeah, crikey, that's exciting news, isn't it? We were doing that. We are doing ever more in lead generation, basically, and ever more in helping people with their online marketing. So even if you're settled with your website, we're helping increasing number of agencies. And as you know, we do with Kerfuffle the Site Doctor reviews. That's a Kerfuffle special deal where we will go and look for we'll do a detailed analysis of your website basically, and sort of and have a look at what's working, what's not working, and that's backed up by these two benchmarking tools we've been talking about today. But no, we're busy building websites. We've got a new low price offer website as well, which we're busy building. So we've got 2 or 3 designs for independent agents, which we're busy building lots of. No, it's business as usual, really.
Absolutely perfect. Well, I suspected you would have been busy. You've never not been busy in all the time I've known you. Jeremy, once again, congratulations on that, and love to catch up with you soon.
Thanks, Simon. All right.
Cheerio. Bye-bye.